My name is Jeff Schill. I'm the Executive Director of Training here at CPI, and I want to thank you for joining us for this webinar. Our goal today is to talk about a suite of offerings that we now have available through CPI that you as authorized certified instructors are now able to train. We want to make you familiar through this webinar with some of those offerings, specifically drawing attention to our newest offering, Verbal Intervention, where we will talk a little bit deeper about that program and then answer any questions that you may have. So why don't we start by taking a look at some of the different offerings that we now have available at CPI. Our first offering is Prevention First. We recognize the importance of all staff within your organization having a basic understanding of crisis situations and a common language with which to speak about those in your care. Our Prevention First offering is an online awareness program that makes it easy to get the core concepts of this program to all of your staff members, no matter the area of risk in which they work. We are also offering a Verbal Intervention program, because you may have staff who encounter more substantial behaviors and could benefit from increased verbal de-escalation skills. They may not be in those high-risk areas or have a specific need for physical intervention, but their work responsibilities require them to manage medium-level crisis situations. This program is an easy way to present and practice verbal de-escalation strategies with your staff. The program is a blended offering to help maximize learning and time away from those that we serve. Nonviolent crisis intervention is our training option that looks at the full spectrum of a crisis and provides staff with a full range of intervention strategies to de-escalate or safely intervene to a crisis. It focuses on preventative strategies and decision-making skills in a crisis, along with physical intervention strategies to manage those high-risk and potentially dangerous situations. This program also discusses ways that staff can restore relationships with individuals they care for after a crisis and help to develop strategies to prevent behaviors from occurring again. Some of your staff may require even more advanced strategies to manage those complex situations in the highest risk areas of your facility. We also offer our advanced program to assist with these types of behaviors and look at the complexity of a crisis and the most advanced physical skills needed to help manage safety. This program does require an additional certification. In today's webinar, we do want to spend a little time focusing on our newest offering, our Verbal Intervention program. Verbal intervention is customized and available for the healthcare market currently. We are working on an education and a human service edition that should be ready by the spring of 2020. Let's discuss some of the benefits of this verbal intervention program. One of the things that we have looked to do is to simplify the language for easier learning. For example, we have received feedback that words like proxemics can be very complicated for a learner, and simplifying that to personal space can help with the learning process. We have also combined modules for chunking of learning. Previously, nonverbal, paraverbal, and verbal interventions have all been separate units. In this program, we have looked to combine them in one module called communication. We have also heard that competency is a strong belief that we all want to have in our programs. So we have looked to combine some competency activities to help staff transfer their learning from the classroom to the workplace. We have put an upfront focus on the integrated experience and staff responses. So we can right up front talk about what we can control and the impact that we as staff have on a crisis situation. There is also emphasis on content that you have told us as certified instructors can be beneficial for your staff. We have looked to discuss fail-safe choices, which is a way of setting limits while providing positive outlets. We have also added delivering bad news, which can often trigger anxiety or crisis behaviors. So we discuss strategies of how staff can do this productively. And we have also added a module on safety strategies to help staff understand how they can manage the environment and use a team to help manage safety in crisis situations. And finally, the verbal intervention program comes with an action plan. This is a plan at the end of the program that the participants fill out that they can take with them, where they outline strategies that they can use back on the floor. This can be an individual reflection action plan, or it could be shared with managers to take back after the training. Our verbal intervention program is broken into 6 modules, starting with the crisis development model and then followed by the integrated experience. We then discuss communication skills in general and get more specific in Module 4 around verbal intervention strategies. Module 5 focuses on those environmental and safety strategies that I discussed. We have an optional module around disengagement for those that are interested. And then we wrap up the program with Module 6, where we discuss post-crisis and restoring safety in relationships. The verbal intervention program is blended learning offering, which means there is a portion of the program that participants do online to help them learn the knowledge and content within the program. And then they come to a classroom portion where the instructor can really focus their attention on the application of that knowledge and skills and the practice of those skills. We are very excited about the verbal intervention program that is kicking off here recently at CPI. And I'm very willing now to field any questions that you may have around the CPI offerings or the verbal intervention program. Nikki is our moderator here, who has been fielding the questions in the question box. Feel free to type those in, and Nikki, you can ask me any questions that come in from the group.
Thanks, Jeff. We have the first question is, do I need to recertify in verbal intervention in order to teach verbal intervention?
No, you do not. That as a nonviolent crisis intervention instructor, you are authorized to teach nonviolent crisis intervention or the verbal intervention program. And we certainly have resources and support here at the office that can help you with those resources to find your way through that program and how to teach that program. So you do not need a separate certification. We can certainly help you get prepared to teach that if you're interested.
Another question, where do I find the verbal intervention materials?
You also have access to all of those materials right now. What you would need to do is to call the office. We have the materials available for healthcare currently. And like I said, we are going to be coming out with the education and human service in the spring. So if you're interested in the healthcare, we do have those available. Just contact the office. They will check a permission box under your account, and then when you go to the website under your account, you will have access to all of the verbal intervention material.
Is there a new book associated with the verbal intervention course?
Yes, we are very excited about the new workbook that we have come along with the verbal intervention program. It's designed to be much more interactive, provide a lot more resources for the participants. So yes, we do have updated material and a new workbook that goes along with that program.
Another question, I noticed that VI, verbal intervention class, doesn't include decision making, but includes optional disengagement. Can we teach that as an extra item during the live portion?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is one that we did go back and forth with, and we just felt that in this program, that we would put the decision making into nonviolent crisis intervention. But you as a nonviolent crisis intervention instructor, if you felt that was important, especially around the disengagement and wanted to introduce that, I think that would be certainly fine to do. And you have, again, all of the material, the posters and things that would allow you to incorporate that into the verbal intervention training.
Am I able to blend the verbal intervention course and nonviolent crisis intervention physical interventions?
I'm not quite sure what that one means by blending the physical interventions. I'm assuming that question means, can we add some of the holding into the verbal intervention program? The verbal intervention program is designed specifically to give skills to those at a medium risk level that and so we did not include the physical components to that. We felt that that was more for those individuals at the higher level risk that might be part of crisis response teams or be the ones who are involved in those holding needs. The verbal intervention program was more specifically designed for those that may come across a crisis situation but may not be the first responders or having to intervene in a physical situation. So I suppose if you have staff who are kind of in between those, we could certainly have a discussion here at the office as to which one would be the best offering for you and your staff.
A couple of people have questions about timing. With the new program, what is the time for the online and classroom portions?
So the online takes anywhere from about an hour to 2 hours to complete the online portion of the program. There is little boxes and things that they can click on to explore more information. So there is a range of time there. And then the classroom, if you do the disengagement, is 4 hours in length for the classroom portion of the program.
Another participant would like to know, will CPI send hard copies of the instructor guide to all certified instructors?
Right now, they are online that you would be able to download when you access the resources. But I would suppose if you wanted a hard copy, that you could contact us here at the office and we would send you one. So we are making it available to everyone online that you can download and print off. But if you wanted a hard copy, we'd make sure that you got one.
Janet from Optimum Performance would like to know, what is the cost per seat or book, and does it include a blue card?
Yes, great point about the blue card. Obviously, Prevention First is not a blue card, that's just an awareness program, but verbal intervention, nonviolent crisis intervention, and our advanced are all formal trainings that do have blue cards in their workbooks. The pricing for verbal intervention is very similar to your nonviolent crisis intervention costs.
Does verbal intervention have a PowerPoint, Jeff?
Yes, it does as well. It does have a PowerPoint, instructor guide, and workbook for your participants.
Will this new content be integrated into the regular CPI class? I can't see doing two separate classes, and the verbal intervention doesn't meet all my staff needs.
So I think, yes, we will be offering all of these suites, but I think it's, again, you can teach and are authorized to teach any program underneath your certification. So if you are nonviolent crisis intervention certified, then you can teach verbal intervention. If you are advanced trained, you can train nonviolent crisis intervention or verbal intervention. So my recommendation in that situation, again, if you're kind of in between there, might be to go to the nonviolent crisis intervention certification, and then you're authorized to train both of those offerings.
Great. Can the entire verbal intervention class be taught live, or do you all recommend the use of online modules?
We do have material to assist you if you want to do it from a classroom format. So we can certainly help you with that. If that's your preferred medium of training, we can help you teach it from a classroom format.
Can we receive a link to the online course so that we can see what it feels like?
Yep. So again, if you were to contact the office, they would give you permission to view all of our material. And then under your account, you would be able to view the online portion of the program.
Could verbal intervention be used as a renewal for nonviolent crisis intervention?
No, but at this point, again, we've structured it to have two different focuses. The verbal intervention, again, is for those staff that need a little bit more. They may come across crisis situations, but they're not necessarily those that intervene on a regular basis. Nonviolent crisis intervention is going to be more of the people who are responsible for intervening in a crisis situation. So they've been designed from two different lenses. So they are a different blue card and a different certification at this point.
Can the verbal intervention piece be used as a refresher for nonviolent crisis Intervention Foundation?
Yeah, it's a similar question to the one before that. I think you could certainly use it as a refresher, but again, keep in mind it comes with a different authorization in blue card, and then they would be verbal intervention certified. They would not be nonviolent crisis intervention certified.
Kind of a follow-up to those questions. Then we would have to have 2 books, correct?
Yeah, and that's something that we can help you with here at CPI if you're looking to say who in your facility would benefit from verbal intervention, who would benefit from nonviolent crisis intervention. But yes, it would be two separate authorizations and 2 separate workbooks for that program.
If there are any other questions out there, you can still type those in. We got another question. Am I able to use the new updated PowerPoint with the old booklets? How much are the new workbooks?
Can you repeat that one, Nikki?
Yes. Am I able to use the new updated PowerPoint with the old workbooks? And how much are the new workbooks?
Again, we're going to recommend that you use the most up-to-date, and especially when it comes to the electronic presentation, all of those are online that you can download. So I suppose if you have an older PowerPoint, you could, as an instructor, could probably make it work, but we try to make it very easy for you to have the updated PowerPoints and electronic presentations. The pricing, again, I'm not quite sure if you're talking nonviolent crisis intervention or verbal intervention, but they are going to be very similarly priced.
Jeff, could you just reiterate what the course time is for Prevention First?
So the online portion is an hour to maybe hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on what they want to do. But we're targeting an hour. And then to come through the classroom portion, it would be 4 hours if you do the disengagement portion. I'm assuming they were talking about verbal intervention there. Is that right, Nikki?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Oh, no, Prevention First.
Oh, the Prevention First.
Correct, Prevention First.
Yeah. Is that 1 hour? Yeah, the Prevention First is 1 hour.
Okay, thank you. Is there a syllabus for verbal intervention online?
We do have an outline and an agenda for that program. I think that would suffice as a syllabus, and that would be part of all the materials that would be online that you could take a look at.
Can you tell us a little more about the delivering bad news and its healthcare focus?
Yeah, so this is something that we recognize people have to do on a regular basis, and that can be from a variety of things they have to deliver, right? That your food's not ready, all the way up to more severe things that they have to deliver in a healthcare setting. And anytime that you have to give or deliver bad news, it can trigger anxiety or heighten anxiety. And it's a place where crisis situations can grow. So we really wanted to spend some time talking about and giving staff some strategies of how to deliver bad news, but in a way that can help to support the individual and minimize anxiety as much as possible. So we have, I think, and I'm trying to remember now, but I think it's like 7 strategies that we discussed that staff can utilize when delivering bad news to minimize that building into a crisis situation.
What does adding the disengagement portion mean?
So the disengagement is the same as what you would know for holding, or I'm sorry, for nonviolent crisis intervention. We haven't changed any of the disengagement skills, but that is an optional module. So with again, at this medium risk level, you may find that some staff just need the verbal intervention, and so therefore you do not have to teach that optional module. Or you may find that you do want to maintain safety or help people to maintain safety by teaching them the disengagement. So it's an optional module that's at the end of the program that you can teach, or you may make the decision not to teach as part of your verbal intervention program.
Does the pricing for verbal intervention include the online access and workbook?
Yes, so our pricing for that is going to include everything that you would need to be able to teach that program. So that would be the online access and the workbook and material for the classroom.
Thank you, Jeff. Can you share with us, Jeff, how we would contact a representative to talk more about this?
Yeah, you can certainly call us at CPI. Our toll-free number is 877-877-5390. It's the number that's on the back of your instructor guide or every workbook, but that's 877-877-5390. Just give us a call. One of our support staff will answer the phone and be able to walk you through anything that you would need to gain access to see the verbal intervention material.
All right, a strength of current CPI offerings is the interactive learning environment. Does the new curriculum continue with this teaching style?
Absolutely, and I think especially if you choose that blended offering, someone earlier had asked about a classroom, but we are putting a tremendous amount of focus on application and practice of the skills. And I also mentioned earlier around competency of those skills. So if we're going to ask people to transfer this to their workplace and be competent with it, we certainly have to be very interactive and have application and practice activities within the program. So that is certainly going to remain as a portion of what we do.
Are we able to use the online modules with other LMS systems?
Yes, and again, I'm not the technical person, but you could certainly contact our representative here at CPI, and they would be able to help set that up and walk you through the technical side of how you could set that up onto your LMS.
Will verbal intervention be in upcoming catalogs?
Yes, it will. It's something, again, we're very excited about, and we're doing some promotion and some webinars like this, but you'll certainly see more of it through the next catalog and things like that as we get people more familiar with that offering.
Can you go over the difference between when to use the low risk versus medium risk education for healthcare workers? What job titles, such as where secretary, office staff versus medical assistants, doctors, and nurses?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's it's a difficult one to answer because it depends from facility to facility. But if you're looking at low risk, this is probably the people that just need awareness, right? This might be some of the people at the front desk who are checking people in, or some of your janitorial staff, or people around that are doing different functions within the hospital and are not necessarily providing direct care, but will often need to have an awareness of a crisis situation and an understanding of a crisis, and someone you want them to be able to have and speak the language. The verbal intervention or the medium risk is designed more for those people who are working with patients in some form or fashion, but may not be considered, again, that high risk. They may not be required to intervene in a crisis situation per se, but they would be the ones that would need to call in people to help them in a crisis situation. So medium risk, they may come across crisis situations, but it's not a huge part of their job. And if they do come across, they're usually calling in for support for people who have been more trained. So the nonviolent crisis intervention then are more those people that are going to be required to intervene to those crisis situations.
Would the time for the program be 3 hours if you do not include disengagement?
It's actually 2.5. We have set aside about 90 minutes for the disengagement. So if you do not do that optional module, you're probably looking at about 2.5 hours of, again, application, activities, review of content material, application, and practice of the skills.
Great. I think that's all the questions that we have at this time, Jeff.
Awesome. That was a good number of questions. I appreciate those. So thank you very much for joining us, and please make sure that you contact the office. You can also contact your representative from our sales department. They are also prepared to walk you through and help you gain access as well. So yeah, feel free to contact us if you're interested, and we'll get you much more information. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Appreciate it.